Hello, everybody. Welcome back to potentially the last episode ever of Finance Junkies. Because Chris decided... well, he didn't decide anything, quite frankly. No one really decided anything. We all came to the conclusion, we're just going to rip the Band-Aid off, that we're too fucking busy to keep doing this shit every single week, and we're getting a little tired. So let's start off with that. Chris, what is your perspective on this decision we came to?
I think it's a combination of a couple of things. Each one of us has our daily lives that we have to contend with, and sometimes making time for a regular scheduled episode is difficult, especially when the whole intent behind this thing is to talk about active market events that are happening and then how to tailor your investing around that. It ends up becoming really challenging to constantly keep up with new material and then also focus on your day-to-day existence and day-to-day job. I mean, investing to a certain degree should be, hey, keep an eye on the market somewhat regularly, but don't make it your entire life, So when it becomes your entire life, it can become very what's the word? It feels like work. And the thing is, once it feels like work, it's like, bro, I'm already working one job. Do I really want to take on another job where now I'm constantly digging through interesting topics to talk about just to get the episode done? And then on top of it, anytime we bring up anything political, even though there's economic ramifications to it, people are just, no, we don't want to talk about it. We don't like talking about politics. And it's just,
the crazy thing about this, there's a reason Vitaly's not here. He's fucking busy at work and he's going to be busy for the next 8 months. So like the fact that Vitaly couldn't make this episode today, we were laughing about it in our group chat. Cause like, it's literally the reason why it's hard to do this show now. Cause all of us are getting so fucking busy that it's hard to keep going, Yeah. Now, granted, it's not literally the last episode. This channel, will probably go live once in a while and keep doing stuff here, but it's getting kind of tough to even keep it up 2 times a week. And I think you guys could tell when we went from 5 days to 2 times a week. It's just tough. Carlos, your thoughts?
Oh, that's interesting. That's your take. That's not my take on it, but I don't have to comment.
I mean, no, you can give your take. It's the whole point is to give everyone's take. My take is that it's getting really hard to make 2 times. I mean, literally, I was in California last week, and I'm probably going back to California. Like, it's going to be hard to fucking keep it up. But I mean, no, you can give your perspective as well.
I mean, there's validity to everything that you're saying, but I don't think you start a race to run 300 miles and run 299 miles and then turn around and go home,
That's fair. I just think when it's hard to do that last mile,
the only thing, Carlos, is that each one of us is running a different race sometimes. Yeah. And the thing is, Amit is doing his own thing. I mean, at some point, we all kind of started going in different directions. And so if we're not running the same race, then it ends up becoming a lot more difficult to keep going. I mean, look, I enjoy our times together. I enjoyed our conversations together. But at some point, we each of us have so many things that are going on that it ended up becoming just like, do you really want to show up again? And the thing is, like I'll tell you right now, like next month, I'm going to be in New York for like 2 weeks solid, doing personal stuff. And the thing is, I won't be there. And I feel like, I have some level of commitment to you guys. So it is somewhat jarring and stressful not to constantly participate. And so it happens,
I just don't buy that. Sorry.
What do you mean?
I just don't buy it. I don't buy
it. What? The timing doesn't work? I mean,
I think you start something, and we said we didn't want to make this thing work, right? So I think our audience is here to hear us talk, but they're also here just to hang out with us. And I think our audience is way more forgiving of that than we are being of ourselves. If you're not around for a week, then you're not around for a week. It's no big deal. It's like,
dude. I mean, when we went from 5 days to 2 days, already there was pushback. Then when we started missing multiple weeks, there was like at some point you have to respect the audience. And if you say, hey, we're going to be here, and then you don't show up, it's not even like, all right, we forgive you guys. It's just like, why are you even wasting our time? Why are you blue balling us, essentially? You know what it means?
This is why. Look, for me, like my take, if we ever in a room drunk, that's when you'll get my opinion. I'm not gonna do this live now, but if we get drunk, you'll hear what I think.
Okay. Well, having said that, we've got someone to help us bring in the end of the episode, who hasn't been here for a long time, Steven Fiorillo.
I'm so sad hearing this.
It was all your fault.
It was all your fault. Yeah,
Of course,
Steve, we would have kept
everything's-
going if
So
you
why
kept
didn't you
showing up.
just buy Tesla when we told you? about it?
Just blame me. But Chris, if you're going to be in New York, let me know.
I will.
Steve is going to show me how to smoke cigars in July. I'm going to visit him in New York.
That's a
And-
good one. Every man should know how to do that. You should know.
Yeah, I don't know how to do that, dude.
But-
I know you.
But Steve, you got to show. Don't prepare for him. Make him do the whole process so he.
I know you have to.
appreciates
I
it.
know you have to blow and suck on it, but besides that,
See, you tried doing that last time, and I'm not letting you get away with
it
it.
was funny last time too. It was really
What'd you
fun.
try to do last time?
You
I tried to blow and
bait me
suck on
into-
it. It was funny again. Okay, Steve.
I've loved watching you grow up over the last couple of years.
I will turn into a man once I.
You're
blow
more
and
of a
suck on
man
it.
now. You're definitely more of a man now.
By the end of the summer, we're going to see a Mitt on a stream.
Hair on
smoking a
his
cigar.
chest, we'll have traps out here. Won't have a neck. We'll just call him Head and Shoulders. It'll just be ripped. Like
Steve, we got to get steak after that cigar that day.
No, see,
What? Are you not allowed to have a steak after cigar?
you smoke a cigar after you eat a cigar.
Oh, okay. Okay, so we'll do. Okay, so then we should do dinner, not lunch, because your lunch break will get cut short. So we should do dinner then.
You just say lunch break?
Yeah, don't you have a lunch break?
yeah, he punches out and helps his manager.
Are you that high up in corporate that you can just take
I-
5 hours off for lunch?
I'm just, whatever. I have not heard those two words strung together in so long.
Okay, I didn't know you were that high up the corporate ladder. I thought every corporate person gets like a 1 hour lunch break or 30-minute lunch break or whatever. That's why I was-
only if they have a permission slip signed by both parents and a doctor's note.
Anyway,
So, Steve, my channel has heard from you over the past couple weeks, but in terms of Finance Junkies, there's a lot of stuff we can talk about. Where do you want to take it? I mean, there's a bunch of stocks on my mind, but
Tesla, baby.
okay, we'll start with Tesla. So,
Because I'm a reformed bear.
yeah, why should?
I mean,
Okay,
like,
here's the.
it sounds to me like the bot was like the gateway drug, and now you're actually starting to see some of the other benefits. Or
Yeah, I
potential
mean-
upside.
I must have read through ARC's thing
Yeah,
4 to 6 times, and I'm a halfway intelligent individual, and I just can't see it, and I just can't make their numbers work. When you exclude Optimus Energy FSD licensing and come to a 10 trillion bull case, and you're basing what 80% of the revenue on robo taxis, which could arguably the hardest thing for them to do, I can't wrap my brain around it.
I think a lot of that is going to be explained at the 8/8 event. I think people are thinking that they're going to try to overnight turn on a massive robotaxi network that's going to compete with Uber right away, and it's not. It's going to be a slow process, building it out, city by city,
I
jurisdiction,
get that.
jurisdiction. But
And I'm not saying that they're not going to do it. My problem with it is the entire taxi market for 2024 is just under $300 billion. And that includes Lyft, Yellow Cab, Uber, Didi, and it's expected to grow to 432 billion in 2029. So when I see these numbers out of ARC, I'm like, I don't see Tesla getting, and I'm Tesla bull, I'm a shareholder, I have enough shares to write cover calls, like I'm in there. And I don't see Tesla getting the entire taxi market or this robo-taxi network making people consider giving up their car to utilize it to get the revenue where ARC says it needs to get to. Now, to me, Optimus is way more interesting. Energy at this rate look, things have changed. The amount of infrastructure that has to go up for data centers is crazy. The amount of energy that these data centers take is crazy. The amount of chips that NVIDIA is selling and is projected to sell in 2027 is nuts. We need a tremendous amount of energy. And when you think about Tesla's energy business actually being profitable now, adding gross profit, and how much it can scale and how much energy demand we need, that is now interesting to me.
Mhm.
Optimus could be bigger than the entire car business tenfold by 2040. And FSD licensing could be huge, because why would Ford or GM or Stellantis or any of these companies want to develop and utilize a different system? It would actually be safer if everything was on the same system, in my opinion. And for those companies, it's a licensing fee. It's much cleaner for them, and they can still make money on it. So there's just so many things that they can do over the next 10 years that, to me, this is worth the risk of admission, where if something doesn't pan out, it goes down 50%, whatever, but it's just got so much potential, I'm willing to overlook that.
Mm-hmm. Well, there's also the knock-on effect. There's been a weight on the stock. You know, I think Jeremy had a great video a couple of weeks back about like the 3 major, he calls them boogeymans, that are now slowly being lifted. And so, to your point, Tesla's going to execute better, but I also think Wall Street, the narrative around Wall Street and investing in Tesla and around Elon Musk, I think is about to change. And I think it actually is changing. I think the attack on his pay package was a line where I think people felt was too far. And I think it actually backfired in the sense that it brought a lot of people back over to Elon's camp. And now that it's been approved, I think it's actually acting as a real tailwind for them. When before, had this case never have come to the courts, I just think it probably would have been spun as a negative, or just the stock would have been flat. So for me, I'm thinking a year from now, we're going to look at the approval of that pay package as a catalyst, like the first of those boogeymans that was removed. You know, then you've got revenue. We should see increased revenue in Q2, and we should see margins Q2, Q3 improve. So you start eliminating these things that I feel are holding the stock down. The stock price of 200, 250 doesn't seem so ridiculous. And I would say that to get to your evaluation, I'm guessing that Wall Street will give them a higher multiple once they actually see the money start coming in.
Yeah, and I think that I don't necessarily have a valuation I think it's going to get to anytime soon. Look, I would love for ARK to be correct, because I'll make a lot of money. I don't think they get to 10 trillion in 2029.
Why?
I hope
they
just
upgraded Microsoft to 4 trillion.
Microsoft makes a lot of money compared to Tesla. And
Carlos, do you think 10 trillion by 2029 is reasonable too, or
29? I just think the number sounds ridiculous. I think it sounds utterly ridiculous that any company could have a $10 trillion. I mean, this is what we talk about gold. Now you're talking about these companies approaching that market cap. It just, to me, doesn't make sense to compute. But when you think about it, the money is out there. The money is out there. And if they can justify it, if Microsoft can hit 4T, and NVIDIA is going to hit 4T, 5T, right? Apple's going to hit that. And you start saying to yourself, the big dogs are going to run away with this.
Yeah, and look, I think Tesla can definitely, let's strike the word definitely. I think they can potentially get 2-3 trillion 2027 to 2029. I think that's something that could happen. I don't think that they get past Microsoft or an Apple and eclipse them for quite some time. Now, if Optimus works out, to me, they're the biggest company globally. Saudi Aramco doesn't matter. The applications for the bot are so insane. I'll buy 2. They can mark me down for 2 right now. I'm going to buy one for myself. I'm going to buy one for my parents.
They're talking about, I've seen things where they're talking about a bunch of different models where you could actually say rent them for a day. Like, I didn't think that was going to be the case. I figured this was going to be all to enterprise. That makes the most sense for Tesla, but they are serious about selling these things.
Yeah, I don't know when we're going to see it in the consumer side, but even somebody left a comment, and I agree with them, and I have thought about it. I didn't put in the article because the article got to like 3,500 words, but for elderly care and relationships with elderly, like there are so many applications for this that the bot is just the most exciting thing to me in all Tesla stuff.
Mm-hmm.
So ultimately, you think the bot, Elon's not crazy for this $25 trillion?
No, because, and when I say that, I say 2040, I think it's entirely possible. Mm-hmm. I'm not betting against Elon's manufacturing expertise or precision or what he can do at mass scale. I don't think any other company, whether you're General Dynamics or any of these other ones, can even hold a candle to what Elon can pull off on the manufacturing side. So I think that it is entirely possible Tesla gets 10% of the market, if not more. Mm-hmm. I completely think that's possible. And as I've said before, I think they're going to have a $29 or $39 a month learning platform where the bot is hooked in to the Tesla network. And every task that every bot does gets loaded, and they learn every second of every day and just get better.
Well, let me ask you this, guys. What do you think Apple, Meta, Nvidia, what do you think their market cap is at 2029? What's the trajectory there? Assuming that they continue to execute. What are we looking at by comparison?
Let's ask Chris. Chris, what do you think by 20?
What do you think Microsoft's at 2029? What do you think
2029?
Google's at? What do you
That's
think
hard, dude. 5 years from
Amazon's
now.
at? I think Chris is frozen, by the way.
Yeah, Chris is probably frozen.
I think he's frozen.
Oh, there he is.
Doc.
Did you hear anything?
Yeah. Yeah, I was listening to the Microsoft thing. I have no clue, man. Like I'm always optimistic about Microsoft. I mean, they're not going anywhere. They literally have the most dominating market share of enterprise spend, whether that be through Azure with its cloud compute or it's Microsoft Office. Like I just don't see anyone ever challenging that giant moat. And that means that this thing is just a compounding machine. Now, could it pull back on some weaknesses in AI? Yeah, I think there is a case to be made, for me at least, that AI has basically run up to the point where it's at a point where it's peaked out. And I think that the only direction now for AI to go is down until we have a nice slow recovery going forward. So under that thesis that AI is finally slowing down and growth expectations are slowing down, the multiple on Microsoft and all the other big tech companies may be a little bit too rich right now, in which case we could see a pullback. But I'm not shorting it. I'm not going to try to take a negative position on Microsoft. That's like the dumbest move ever. But yeah, I can't tell you what a market cap is going to be for Microsoft.
Well, what I want to drill, like double click on that. What do you mean AI is over? You're saying like the multiple that's being given to companies by
I think
AI prowess is over.
Yeah, I think we're pretty much. I think at this point AI is at a top. I mean, all the research that I'm doing, all the fundamentals that I'm looking at, it tells me a couple of things. That AI has gotten to the point where the magic has basically run out. Companies are evaluating how much they're actually spending on all these AI initiatives, and a lot of them are coming up with this, this fundamental analysis saying, you know what, maybe we need to slow down our spend in AI. And I think eventually it's going to make its way to the market. It's not out there like yet, but I'm starting to see the impacts of that, and which means that, I think growth in AI right now, everyone is looking at the numbers and saying AI is going to grow forever. And this is the same thing that typically happens with a lot of hype cycles where everyone gets in and all of a sudden, AI can do no wrong. But then when you look at the fundamentals, like, okay, what value is this technology actually providing? It's not nearly the game changer that a lot of people thought it was about a year ago. And a lot of companies are waking up to that. And yeah, eventually it's going to make its way into the general market. We might have a correction year in 2022. We'll see. 2025. We'll see.
Did you guys read that the models, like a lot of the GPT models or the LLM models, are actually, the progress is slowing down? That they basically consumed everything on the internet, and the real problem is now finding data
Content, yeah.
them. So, I mean, this is a problem that Tesla's had for a while. This is why I think that they made they gave FSD away for free. They need data and they need interventions, and it's getting so good that there's more miles between interventions. So you get this plateauing. But how do you get past that if you've already read every book, if you've heard every song, if you've downloaded everything on the internet?
Well, companies are going to have to monetize their CapEx. I mean, there's only a few that are really monetizing it right now, and these companies are spending a tremendous amount of money, and they're going to have to get a return on that investment. And we're probably going to see it a lot more on the consumer side with Alphabet and Apple over the next 2 to 3 years than maybe any other company. Maybe you throw Meta in there, but we're not going to necessarily see it from Amazon. Maybe Microsoft. I mean, enterprise will definitely see it through the cloud offerings.
Mm-hmm.
But I think what we're going to be able to do on tablets and phones over the next couple of years is going to be significantly different than what we're using them for today. We probably haven't even seen the apps made with that technology that we're going to start really using.
Right.
Yeah, unfortunately, I think that cycle is a lot more elongated than people think.
It very well
I
could
think, and that's the issue, right? Where right now you're doing all of this spend, but the tangible results are not going to be available for the next 4 or 5, maybe even 6 years from now. So as an example, when you look at the .com bubble, see, the .com bubble was very in hindsight, it looks obvious. Everyone was buying all these tech companies, all these .coms, because everyone knew that, you know what, the internet is the future. No one could deny that. The problem was everyone's expectations had run up so quickly during 1999 and 2000, where everyone was throwing money at these companies, thinking that, hey, this is the future. I want to be part of the future. Let me get in now, regardless of the valuation, regardless of the future growth prospect. And that's what's happening. All this demand has been pulled forward, in which case the main beneficiary right now has been at the top level, NVIDIA, right? NVIDIA primarily because they control the hardware aspect that requires all these GPUs to work. So they're at the top, right? They've been one of the biggest beneficiaries, if not the beneficiary of AI. Below them have been all these hardware providers who support AI, basically like the SMCIs of the world, the Dells of the world. These are low margin businesses, but because of their association to the main guy of AI, they've got a big boost. And then, of course, the cloud providers, because the cloud providers have been able to layer on AI applications on their clouds and then sell cloud services, right? So if you look at Azure, Google, AWS, their services have been growing considerably. And then you have Oracle growing also at the same time. Oracle actually came out and said that they're doing a lot more hardware investments because they believe in it also. And I think it's justified that these companies are spending this money because long term they're going to see tangible benefits. But I do think in the short term right now we're getting to a point where I think companies are going to have to reevaluate the total actual demand of these AI products and how they're actually able to monetize them. And in which case it feels like very metaverse-like, if you guys remember, where Zuckerberg was spending all this CapEx on metaverse. And then one day shareholders kind of woke up and said, look, we are not okay with you spending half of the CapEx on something that's like years away from making any real money. So I think that's a lot of people will wake up to this idea of AI not necessarily monetizing at the same rate and at the same level that that the company's fundamentals are grounded in. And I think that's when we'll see a correction. When is that going to happen? I have no clue. As of right now, demand is strong. Demand is really good, but
I think we're looking at maybe a little incorrectly also, because nobody's going to be able to compete with Apple, Alphabet, Meta. No other company can spend the type of money they're spending. They just can't. So I think AI is going to be compressed and confined to what the big juggernauts are going to craft it as. But I think there's a second derivative play in companies like Intel and Hewlett Packard and Dell, even AMD, because you got two catalysts coming on board right now.
I bought Intel today.
I'm a shareholder.
Not me. TJ bought it, but still.
I mean, I'm back.
I told him to buy it.
And the reason I'm back in it is because in October 2025, you have Microsoft sunsetting Windows 10. No more security updates, no more patches. That's going to create a big upgrade cycle because it depends on your chipset of your computer. People are going to have to buy new computers for Windows 11. So you're going to have that. Plus, you're going to have AI chips starting to come out. So you're going to see probably a 3 to 5 year upgrade cycle on computers. And I think that there's going to be a big play. Even Micron's been doing great because of all the data centers, but they'll probably continue to do good because they're one of the biggest games in town for DRAM. So I think there's going to be a lot other opportunities than just enterprise scale AI.
You guys looking at batteries at all?
Storage, not really. I mean,
batteries. I mean, I'm looking at
QuantumScape has been something that somebody I know has been looking at, but I'm not looking at it too much. I got Tesla for that.
I think me and Steve are aligned in our thoughts on natural gas pipelines because right now,
I have been, that.
Yeah. Me right now, I'm looking at natural gas, not the commodity, because the commodity has too many fluctuations to ever make any real money. But the pipelines are where the real profit engines are, because essentially they act like a toll bridge. And if you notice anything about all the spending right now that's coming online, first of all, renewals, they're not economically viable enough to be a complete replacement of fossil fuels. Coal, which is very energy dense, but also very polluting, is not an option that a lot of places they want to go. So natural gas is the real alternative. And natural gas, there's a lot of natural gas plants being built all over the place. And the thing is, they require continuous feed of natural gas, which means like literally it's like buying toll bridges, right? So if you're looking for long-term cash flowing businesses that have access, that are basically going to power the future, that's where you are. Whether it's EVs, whether it's because of global warming, you've got higher needs for air conditioning, whether it be all these data centers, because at the end of the day, data centers are always going to keep getting bigger and we're going to need more data centers. So data center spend, and then just the quality of life. As people like improve their quality of life, they're going to be using more electricity. I don't ever see us get to a point where we're using less electricity. So all those things combined,
energy, the production of energy could become a limiting factor. It's just we're increasing the demand for electricity at a rate faster than we're finding new sources for it or clean sources for it.
I mean, we have tremendous amount of natural gas, but it's just the thing is it's getting it from the field to I don't know what's going on with this damn thing. It's just getting it from the field to the power plants that makes it, either economically or not economical. That's why like the guy who did the Bitcoin thing, that's a genius move. Where did you guys see like they literally no, where basically what they did was they built a natural gas plant by the wells that were just flaring the natural gas, and instead of just letting the electricity go to waste, the energy go to waste, they converted it to electricity and started mining Bitcoin from it.
It's so smart.
Yeah, I mean, look, I think energy, specifically pipelines for transportation and storage, and then upstream production, and also utilities are going to surprise people over the next couple of years as you have the Fed actually start to cut at some point, whether it's September, whether it's December, whether it's the beginning of 2025. Most likely the next move is a cut. When that starts to happen, you're going to see people looking for different places to put their cash to generate income. These are big dividend players with growth, so that's a big plus. It'll outpace the risk-free rate of return at some point and inflation. So that's one caveat to it. Two, their requirements and largest barriers to entry of any type of business. I can go raise money and go hire 30 engineers and try to build something and compete in SaaS. Whether we're going to be successful or not, it's a different story. I can't go raise money and then just start to compete in the transportation of crude, refined products, and natural gas. Doesn't work like that. Permitting, land, expertise, capital restraints, real estate, the amount of government red tape with the permitting process. It's just environmental studies. Like there's no new companies coming in. That's why you're seeing a consolidation in the space. And there are some plays that are really interesting. You look at Energy Transfer, 125,000 miles of pipeline across the U.S. You're not reproducing that. You look at something like Enbridge. Enbridge is the triple threat. They actually they're the largest utility company in the U.S. now, on top of one of the largest pipeline companies, because they just bought 2 natural gas utilities from, I forget what company, but they own Enbridge Gas in Canada. They own a huge export facility on the Gulf Coast, and they have a tremendous amount of pipeline doing refined products, crude and natural gas. These are assets you can't replace, and they're required.
Why is buying energy stocks, like you're saying, a better decision than just buying more NVIDIA right now?
I'm not saying it's a better decision, but I've been saying Energy Transfer. Look at the chart for the past 2 years. I mean, I was telling you and Chris to buy Energy Transfer. Go to you look at the past 2 years or so.
I mean, I didn't see those text messages because they were flooded with Ripple text messages at the same time. So it was hard.
So if you look at this Energy Transfer, the only thing, and this is something we really should clarify on here, Steve, is that this is not like a just a regular stock.
This is not a regular stock. It issues a K1 tax package. Whenever you see an LP, it is a MLP, and there's a much different tax structure with it. You would have to file a K1 package. I always say, I put it in my articles, if you're interested in Energy Transfer, you should talk to a tax consultant or a CPA, preferably a CPA, in my opinion, about how it will impact your taxes.
Yeah. I mean, to me, as long as it's in something like a tax advantage account, it makes a lot of sense, but it may not make that same sense for other people. So, definitely explore the tax ramifications before you go into it.
Should we be buying IWM? What's going on with small caps?
I don't do small caps.
Probably not yet. I mean,
dude, everything's running except IWM. And I mean, it ran today a little bit, up 1%, but I don't know, dude. I feel like when we get a rate cut, Nvidia's not going to 5 trillion, but IWM could go to 250.
So
argue that we get that rate cut and Nvidia tanks.
I don't think
so. I think you're a little correct, but let me pull up the data on it before we go into it. So,
Steve, what'd you have for
Who
dinner?
bought SoFi today, by the way? 52
Oh
week
yeah,
low.
put in the chat if you bought SoFi today.
52
Steve, did you buy SoFi?
I bought today.
Not today, but I'm probably buying at the end of the week.
I did not buy. No.
I picked up some. What did I pick up? Some Flux, a little bit of Hood. I'm starting to spend money again. It's great.
Yeah, I actually made a list of all my covered calls. I'm underwater on some of them. I need to figure out that problem before I start buying more stock.
Mm.
You can also just roll them, Steve. You don't have to like.
Yeah, I know, but the theta decay hasn't crept in enough on Palantir yet, and I have a lot of contracts open.
Like how many?
A good amount.
Steve's the guy. If you kill somebody, call him. Like he'll help you bury the body.
Steve is the guy who will help. Someone bought Joe. So we were at Cheesecake Factory the other day, right? And I pulled up the stock on my phone and I showed it to my dad. I was like, "Look, Dad, it's a public company. It was $39." He was like, "Oh, that's a great price. We should buy it." I was like, "Dad, I don't know anything about the market cap. The price." He's just like, "Oh, $40. Let's buy it." It was so funny. I was like, "Maybe it is actually a good price."
That was me. That was me when I first started investing. I thought, like, I just didn't have no idea of market caps. I was like, "Oh, I'm gonna buy this because it's cheap." I thought Google was expensive at $100 at IPO. I was like, "Damn, $100!
$100 is kind of a lot for a share of a stock."
You're gonna have to forgive me because I can't shrink this any further. It's just how the presentation is. But
Chris, there's a couple. Before you start, do you own anything from Lazard? Because I actually do.
I will talk about it offline with you.
What is Lazard?
I own a CEF that they manage.
What is a CEF?
Yeah. Close-end fund. Yeah.
What type of shit do you guys? Okay, whatever. All right.
That's what happens when you actually invest and not just, okay, what's on the meme stock Wall Street boards today?
Tell me Faraday Future is not a dude. Faraday Future has done way better than whatever the fuck you guys invested in on Lazard. So
anyway,
okay,
I'm just kidding. Go ahead.
So if you look at net debt to EBITDA, one of the reasons why small caps are really struggling is a combination of two things. Number one, if you look at the floating rate debt that the Russell has, they have almost 45% of the debt in, like, all the companies in the Russell have a tremendous amount of floating rate debt, which means as interest rates went higher, they all got kind of screwed over, and which meant more of their operating profits went towards interest payments rather than actual going to shareholder value. And then on top of it, if you look at S&P 500, they were all at fixed rate, low debt. They all were smart. So there's not a lot of impact to higher interest rates to these guys. So I think you're right a little bit when you say, Amit, that with lower rates, small caps should benefit a little bit more than the regular S&P 500. But right now, as far as we can see, that hasn't happened. Rate cuts were essentially supposed to be 7 rate cuts this year when we started. That has dwindled down to maybe 1, which means that small caps probably are not going to benefit this year from a rate cut decline. The other problem is if you look at their net debt to EBITDA, it's a lot worse for the Russell 2000, which means that more of their earnings, right? If you look at on a earnings to debt basis, they don't have as much earnings compared to their debt, whereas S&P has more earnings than it has debt. So in terms of just efficiency, capital efficiency, that's your reason why IWM hasn't gone up significantly. The other thing is there's a lot of unprofitable companies in the Russell 2000 that there aren't as many in the thing. I have to figure out what's going on with my computer.
Yeah, it's weird. You just free, but your audio sounds fine.
Yeah,
I agree with everything you're saying, Chris, but I still think this market, if it's going to melt up, it's either Nvidia goes to 5 trillion or something else gets capital.
I'd
And like
rather
all
own
your points are valid.
I would rather own Nvidia than small caps.
I agree with you. I'm just saying something. I mean, do you really think small caps get nothing from
It's
a melt up rally?
To me, it's not worth the risk.
Oh, it's definitely not worth the risk. I agree. I mean,
That's just my own opinion. I don't do small caps. The balance sheets are not nearly as strong as the other areas of the market. I'd rather be in other areas of the market. I mean, how can you go wrong investing in Apple?
you can't. No, you can't.
Too much
But
has to go right for small caps.
It's about looking for out. I mean, there's a reason Druckenmiller
There's alpha everywhere, though.
No, but there's a reason he put 600 million Druckenmiller into small caps. I mean, he obviously sees there has to be some type of breadth to this rally, you know?
I'm not saying he's wrong. Just for me, it's not worth the risk.
Okay, that is fair. So the broader rally right here, Tom Lee said 5,500 on the S&P. We're at 54.7. Today we went down for like an hour, then we shot right back up. What do you think breaks the rally is my question. Like July tends to be a really good month. Summer tends to be good. September, October is a little tough, but we have the election, which tends to be good. What do you think actually gets us down to like 4,900 again, if possible?
AI collapse.
But like we saw Broadcom, we saw Oracle, we're seeing NVIDIA earnings. Like, do you think that's realistic this year?
No, I think if war breaks out further than it already has, you're going to see a pretty big correction. If inflation ticks up higher than expected and Powell starts to act hawkish and even changes stance, you'll see a correction.
I just think it's earnings. Because we've been at war. There's been wars happening all around the world for the last few years, and I can't see unless they go into like World War III.
Specify if China invades Taiwan.
Oh, that's different. If China invades Taiwan, yeah, that's a big deal. But
that's a big deal.
War in Ukraine, but that would be a big deal. And there's really I don't think there's a safe haven. Nothing can save you. Yeah. If that happens.
To me, the trigger for some sort of cataclysmic collapse in the markets is going to be a combination of a couple of things, but the main thing that's going to do it is forward demand for AI chips. It will probably end up killing this rally, and I'll give you the reason why. What's going to happen is people are going to say, wait, maybe this AI thing isn't all hyped up, that I don't need as many NVIDIA GPUs. Now what happens is forward demand for NVIDIA GPUs goes down. NVIDIA starts to take a knock. And then all the mega caps are also now going to start to cut capex, in which case they're going to get knocked off too. They have been broadly the biggest leaders of this market. So because of that, Jesus, my camera keeps freezing. I don't know what's going on. Maybe I need a new camera. Because of that, the main leaders, the generals, when they get shot, the rest of the market is going to kind of freak out, in which case now you're going to have like a correction here and there. But that's, like I said, that's a theory. I don't know if that's actually going to happen, but we'll see.
I mean, I think that you are correct in some aspects on that. I don't know how much demand will fall off a cliff, but it is entirely feasible that we've discussed this before, that all the data centers and all these companies are pulling so much forward that they could certainly decrease the amount of capex, because at some point they need to monetize all the money they're spending. And two, Amazon's working on their own silicon, Meta's working on their own silicon, same with Alphabet, same with Microsoft. So they may actually develop their chips the way they want them. Same way that Apple, nobody thought Apple was getting rid of NVIDIA. They got rid of NVIDIA and went to AMD. Nobody thought they were getting rid of AMD and making their own chip, and they make their own chip now. They're not dependent on Intel, NVIDIA, or AMD.
But they've also been doing it for years and years and years, and they found a way of monetizing the R&D along the way in intermediate products. So they've been thinking about this long ago. I mean, when did they put the first neural engine, in their?
It's got to be 7 years now, right?
Exactly. So they had that foresight, and I push back on the idea that some company can start right now and be able to catch up to where NVIDIA is going.
So-
I'm not saying
let me-
it's going to happen right now, but in the next 5 years, it could be possible that they actually have something that they can make for that suits their needs.
all right, well then how does that look on their earnings? They're dumping money without having, you know what I mean? Like as they're allocating the money to do this, I could see that not being good for the stock.
So let me say one thing real quick. You know, all this, I keep hearing the same thing, which is Nvidia's a market leader. They're 2 years ahead of everyone else with their GPUs. I agree. In terms of technology, they may be really, really far ahead. The problem is if there isn't demand for that technology,
Doesn't
then
matter.
what? Yeah. So as an example, everyone keeps saying Nvidia's ahead, but the thing is, if you don't need all that additional GPU compute, who really gives a fuck? You know, that's like saying, oh, look, my car goes from 150 to does 200 now. Yeah, but no one's driving at 200 miles an hour. So
Right,
But isn't the argument when
All the streets are a quarter of a mile, and you have to make, you know what I mean? They're all a quarter of a mile with turns. You can
Yeah.
never use that capacity. But doesn't that come down to data? Because companies will need the GPUs to process data, to train.
right, but they're running out of data. That's the
Right,
point.
so then all that's left are inference. That's it. What you're left with is inference.
Right.
And it's
right.
all going to be on device.
There you go.
Well, I don't know, dude, because I think when Sora comes out, OpenAI is going to need a lot of GPUs to power that. You know what I
I mean,
mean?
it's not going to happen overnight, but there is a scenario
can you
where it
clarify
starts
that?
to decline.
Can you clarify that, Ahmed?
So
what
when
do you mean?
Sora comes out from OpenAI, right, the
Okay.
text to video, and millions, probably tens of millions of people start using it, they're going to need to train it on more and more GPUs to make the models more sophisticated. That's at least another 3 to 4 years of training. And that's just one example of a company. When GPT-7 comes out, they're going to need even more H200s. Like, I don't see where the demand stops, as your argument implies.
So what you're saying is video AI synthetic video creation is the bull case for
No,
NVIDIA?
that's one of like a billion different
Very
ways
intensive.
that
It's
AI is
more
going to be
intensive
used.
than generative video is more intensive than text.
I'm just saying, like, if your argument is, what's the point of NVIDIA being ahead if there's no demand for GPUs in the next 2 years? I don't feel like the demand is going anywhere, is my point.
Well, no. My thing is demand growth is going to plateau.
But
See, the
why? But
problem-
why?
That's what I'm saying.
Like,
Right now,
hold on. If we're creating AGI, which will be 100 trillion parameter model, and we're
that's
barely,
all. Look, that's all hopes and dreams. That's all
not
hopes and dreams.
What are you talking about? Like, that's real. We're
That's
trying to
all
build,
hopes
at
and
least we're
dreams.
trying
Right
to build
now-
that over the next decade.
That trying versus actually monetizing are two different things. Look at Meta right now. You remember about 6 months ago, Meta came up with all this Mr. Beast and all these idiot fucking influencers doing this dumb shit on WhatsApp and all their applications with AI. You know, with what are they called? The avatars. Remember the AI avatars where you would wake up in the morning. You don't remember that? Where you would wake up in the morning. Right? What happened to that? Who actually uses that bullshit?
I get it. That was stupid. But my point is, if we are actually going for AGI, which Sam Altman and Elon Musk are headed towards that path, I don't see how we don't need even more GPUs than what we're currently.
I think Sam Altman has sold the dream, and he sold it very hardcore to the point where people are like, "Oh my god, this guy is absolutely right. Everyone needs to buy as many GPUs as possible." And I think the comments by TSMC actually, the CEO actually was very spot on. Let me see if I can find it real quick.
TSM's April sales were up 60% year over year, by the way. Like
Hey,
TSM,
look,
I feel like it's
we can't predict the future. It's just a matter if growth slows or not. And I've seen reports that NVIDIA is expected to ship 1.5 million AI server units by the year 2027. I mean, regardless, that's why I'm saying that utilities and energy are indirect benefits of AI, because from the research that I did, I'm just going to read one quick thing while Chris is bringing this up. Currently, data centers account for 1.5% of the global utilization rate in the electric demand. And by 2027, they will require at least 85 terawatt hours and utilize as much power as Argentina. There are some estimates that indicate by 2030, computing and communications technology will consume 21% of the global electricity produced.
Where are all the climate activists with this? Because they're just trying to sell me on an electric leaf blower. You know what I mean? And like,
yeah, good luck with that.
Freaking 85 terawatts.
You see, but the point is, like,
power that is.
If GPT is coming out, if Sora's coming out, and like a variety AI in the enterprise has barely got it started, I just don't feel like the GPUs are necessarily going to slow down.
But what it comes down to, Amit, is training. Like, I was looking. there's models that track like the quality of the results of the different models, and they're basically all getting as good as one another. They're basically all getting to the same point where they're as good as one another. They're being trained. The differences in the data that they're being trained on is, minimal. And so you're getting to this point where they're all really good and they're all kind of getting to the same place. How do you break through? How do you plateau? How do you push through that plateau if there's just no more data? And they've done tests where they've tried to use like AI data and it immediately hallucinates. So how do you create more data? That's what it comes down to. Because like to Chris's
And how
point,
do you
demand for the GPUs will be there if you've got a fuck ton of data that you need to process. The only one that I know that's generating massive amounts of data forever is Tesla. Every day, 2-3 million miles, they're driving these things. So unless you have something like that that's eternally creating data, I don't see how the demand is going to continue to grow.
The other thing is, even the data that you could load up that's synthetic, some people are saying, well, you could always just enrich that data and then refeed it back again. And the way that I would describe that, that's like what is it called? Like it just doesn't work. It's like inbreeding. Like you keep breeding the same idea over and over
Right,
and over again, and it just doesn't work.
Right.
So the thing is, like, you have to have new sources of data, and the data has to be fundamentally put into action and thought into it, and has to have some validity. So as an example, do you guys know what Tay AI is?
No.
Tay?
Tay AI? Okay,
I have a
Tay
feeling
AI.
I have a feeling we're about to get demonetized, but go ahead.
No. Tay AI was this AI chatbot that Microsoft had come out with a while ago. You may not have heard of it, but so all these people, what the way that Tay essentially learned was that it would follow things on like social media, and then based on all the interactions and stuff, it would learn about like how to make responses, right?
Oh, right. Okay.
Well, it turns out people started to like get really creative and started doing like Hitler, like feeding it a lot of Hitler ideas, and made it super, super anti-Semitic. It was the funniest thing. So basically, like, who's the greatest leader in all of history? It'd be like Adolf Hitler. I mean,
Yeah.
this is the kind of stuff that happens. So I think a lot of these models, if you try to use non-curated data, and you try to feed it all the shit that ever existed, you're gonna get a lot of junk mixed in there also. So,
But you see what, 2
AI
years?
suddenly has like purple hair and like has a nose ring.
You see, Chris, you see 2 years of the GPU demand lasting, or 1 year, or what do you think?
I don't know. See, that's the problem. These are the kinds of things that you need to have like some in-depth market research in order to have alpha that's above everyone else, right? So like, this is where, if you have a friend that works at TSMC and he can tell you where GPU demand when GPU demand starts to fall off, that's when you need to like, okay, or whether you work at one of the cloud hyperscalers and say, you know what, we're getting too many, we have a lot of GPUs, and I mean, we have a lot of spare capacity, because that's what's happening right now that I'm seeing. I'm seeing that there's actually offerings of spare capacity. I mean, let me bring it up real quick.
It's a fair
I've
point.
seen that too, and also like people offloading, like on secondhand selling their older GPUs.
But it's wild because, like, what's his name? Jensen went to Taiwan, and they said they're backed up for the next 5 years in terms of demand just from Taiwan, like Taiwanese companies for GPUs. So, like, there is a lot of conflicting data that needs.
We got to see how it unfolds. There's a lot of reasons why upgrades are going to happen. I mean, you got to also think about cloud infrastructure from Hewlett Packard, not just Amazon, Microsoft, but Google Cloud, IBM, Cisco, Hewlett Packard, Dell. I mean, there's a lot of reasons why demand can keep going. So you got to see how it plays out.
Mm-hmm. They've also hinted at some new products, like Jensen was hinting at.
Blackwell,
like
Rubin.
Yeah. Crazy new products that make what we're seeing now just seem obsolete. They're at a point now where they do need to really incentivize these companies to keep spending and basically make it that if one company upgrades, everyone has to, or you risk falling behind.
Yeah, I mean, that's what. Yeah, he was saying that.
I'll tell you, cybersecurity is something I'm heavily looking into.
Dude, CrowdStrike this year has been exceptional. I mean, whoever's in that one, congrats. That one, just crazy, dude. It's in the S&P 500 now, up 100-something% year to date. It's been a good one. And then Palo Alto recovered a little bit. Fortinet, I still think is trying to recover as well.
Their numbers are phenomenal compared to everybody else.
Are they up this year to date?
No, I don't think so.
Really? They're down?
Yeah.
Wow. Why are they down? 73 they were at the
When you
top.
look at their numbers and their margins, this makes no sense.
Interesting. Okay. So last topic, let's get this one done. Carlos, why the hell is this still stuck at 60? Like, what is going on, bro?
Dude, literally, it goes from 65 to 70 something, and I lose like $200,000. Okay, I lose. And I want to see it move. But what I think is happening, I can't prove this, but I think there's a lot of shorting happening. There's a lot of money being made on the arbitrage between 60 something and 70 something thousand. And I think we need some sort of true positive catalyst, whether it's even a hint of a rate cut or Ethereum ETF, getting approved and getting onto the market. I'm not actually sure that that's the best thing for Bitcoin right now. An Ethereum ETF, I kind of want to see all the money funnel in, but still, I think that's what's needed right now. This is all rate environment, and I do believe that we're seeing shorting while there's selling on the ETF. In other words, it's manipulated. Look at that RSI. Did you see that RSI?
Dude, I don't give a fuck. I just want it to go up. I'm getting so tired of this stupid fucking coin.
Right. Like when do we
I told you it was stupid a year ago.
All right.
When it went up.
When it was
$24,000.
Thanks.
It went up, and I was like, oh, I was wrong. Carlos was right. Now I'm back to thinking, dude. I mean,
have you looked at anything I've said?
Maybe this is
all this can go from like 15 to 65, 70 grand before your eyes.
Dude, I need this thing to go to 100.
Me too.
And move on with my life.
It's too.
So annoying at this point.
Me too. But when it runs, it will run.
Steve,
have you or Chris looked at anything I have sent you?
Guys, the amount of messages that Steve has texted me about this fucking Ripple. No, I haven't.
XRP?
XRP's obsessed with XRP for some reason. Like, that's
obsessed with XRP.
Oh my god. There isn't enough time in the day to go through it right now.
Of all the things on my bingo card that you would say,
Ripple just doesn't cause enough ripples in my mind to get
excited. But you haven't even looked into Ripple as a company.
Dude, the name is Ripple.
Doing or their relationship.
Sounds like
I'd buy Donald Trump's fucking shitcoin on Solana,
which he may potentially be launching soon.
That's ridiculous. No, I had a bunch of Ripple, but then when they had that issue with the SEC, I said, fuck it. Cashed out, moved it over there.
Carlos, I would say do 20 minutes of research. Look at all the new partnerships that has happened with BRICS and everything in them and what they're doing, specifically Bank of England and Bank of New Zealand, I believe. They're very big in Japan. Look at the new relationships and forecast what's coming. May not be the worst idea.
Look, I'll check it out. I was once a holder for a while, and it was sitting around doing it.
How many cents is it? 70 cents or something?
It's like 54 cents.
I was buying that at 6.
What's the market cap of Ripple?
It's the third largest crypto.
What?
Go to Coin Market.
It's not.
Yeah.
Okay, it's a third or fourth. I haven't looked. I put a lot of money on that.
Number 7.
No, it fall that low.
It's 55. No, 2.3 billion. Yeah. No. Hold on. Sorry. The market cap is 26 billion. But yeah, it's number 7.
What's above XRP?
Here, just share this.
Solana.
Oh, Solana's moved up, I guess.
Well, Solana's
Bitcoin. What is this? Where's the market? Okay, that's 1.2, 400 billion, 112. XRP is 26 billion.
Yeah.
Yeah,
but USDC and Tether are not. Those are stable coins. That's different.
Yeah, but even if you ignore them. Okay, so XRP is 26 billion, and then Solana 61.
All I'm saying is look into what is going to happen with payments, and especially with the petrodollar not getting renewed.
That was a big deal.
So huge deal.
That's a big deal. That's a big deal. I don't think we've seen the effects of that.
Send Carlos the Brad Garlinghouse interview that I sent you that was on Fox Business, where he outlines going after the SWIFT network.
Okay, I don't know which one you're talking about, but I'll figure it out.
Network?
I didn't hear you, Carlos.
SWIFT as in bank transfers?
Uh-huh.
Interesting.
Mm-hmm. That's the whole premise for XRP.
Well, there's a lot of coins that came that were created for that purpose, right? XRP was one of the first ones, but I mean, Ethereum has fallen out of favor, and Solana is like the new pet rock for this.
Yeah, but Ethereum was more smart contracts, which is a freaking great idea, and I would love to use those. I just think that there's some friction there, especially with the gas fees. XRP is truly made for payments, and Ripple has all the collaborations with I think over 200 banks are affiliated with them now. Like, there's a lot of stuff going on behind the scenes with Ripple as a company, and then they'll be using the XRP ledger. All I'm saying is look into it.
I'll look into it. I had my own issues holding it in terms of the way, even the idea of whether it was security or a currency, the way that they can issue it.
I held it through the whole thing. I mean, I kind of didn't have a choice.
Oh, so you're bag holding XRP. That's why you're.
No, I'm up a lot. My average is, if I had to do it all the averages, I'm probably averaging like 11.5 cents.
Oh, so you're just pumping it now. You want
I'm not pumping it. I've owned it for.
He's the XRP millionaire. Steve's going.
Let's just find out Steve has like 700,000 coins.
700 billion. XRP.
All right.
That's funny.
All right, guys. That is it for us.
If there's one thing, can someone, whoever like works in the space, I'm trying to look for GPU rental data. If anyone's got GPU rental data, message me on Twitter, because I really want to see what the pricing on some of these GPU rentals is. That I think will be a litmus test that we need to determine whether or not we're at the top. So.
Also, if you're in Taiwan, hit me up on Twitter, bro. I'm trying to figure out if y'all are gonna pull the rug from us. So.
Right. If you guys are still alive, just send me a mark yourself safe so I know my portfolio's all right.
Trying to figure out what's happening with this.
All right. So this is for Imnop. We gotta let it.
Where are we on the fuck? All right, this is the last thing. Where are we on the
rainbow chart? Here's where we are. We're at fair value, guys. We are at what Bitcoin is considered fair value right now.
All right. Well,
and the peak price from here would put us at, what is this, 203,000 to 275. Yeah, so we've got a way to go. We just got to be patient.
Carlos, look at the private chat.
Yeah, you put the
linked it to.
Oh,
I'll put the interview in the chat if anyone wants. This is the Ripple CEO interview. If anyone wants to watch it,
I'll check it out.
All right, cool. Any last words, Chris?
It's been fun, guys. Maybe we'll do this again in the future sometimes. How long has it been? A year and a half? Almost 2 years?
A year and a half. Yeah, year and a half.
Well, if you count when we did that's the thing. It's hard to say when we started the first ones on a Mitch channel, because we started. You and me were bitching at Apple about a year ago today.
We started November 2022 on my channel. That's when we started. So if November 2024 would make 2 years.
God damn, that's a long time. Well, it has been fun. Learned a lot. And for someone in their 40s, you know how hard it is to make friends. I did not think I'd make friends with a bunch of Indian guys from across the country that are a lot younger than me. It's just how it works out,
And some old Italian schmuck with the Steve over here.
Yeah, with
right, Steve?
Steve over there.
Oh, Steve, I gotta ask before we
house.
leave. I don't know if you guys saw. I think they're playing the World Cup. The Albanians were.
Oh, I heard about it today. It was the biggest upset ever, or something like that.
Dude, they're in on the streets. They were like taking pasta and like freaking like breaking it in half to piss off the Italians.
Goodness.
I had no idea the Italians took pasta that seriously, but apparently they
Oh my God, it's like religion.
All right.
All right. Appreciate you guys. I'm sure we'll go live eventually again on the channel, so it's not literally the last episode ever.
Yes.
A special event, a freaking earnings.
The Pirates won on the spread.
Yo, this guy Steve is a fucking degenerate gambler, bro. He's a legit gambler.
It's nuts. He's like,
Yeah,
I'm
yeah.
really
Listen at his
talking
sports
about
betting, he's
natural
legit
gas, and then
gambler,
he's
bro.
talking about Pokemon cards. It's just
He's
such a
legit gambler.
wide range. Like, wouldn't you love to spend an hour with an LLM?
Carlos, I will send you.
I would just hit it with political questions all day and be like,
No, he would just say, I don't know.
model would not allow
Carlos,
me
put
to.
your email in the private chat. I'm gonna send you a Google sheet, and I'm gonna blow your mind with the Pokemon stuff about how sealed product has outpaced the S&P.
Ridiculous. It's ridiculous.
All right, guys. We'll see you next time. Bye, everyone.
Later.
All right. See you later, guys.